Hey everyone, Jump for Nintendo Life here to put a damper on your day, as this fine user on Twitter has noted that the N64 app in Europe appears to be using PAL ROMs, European ROMs. And the reason that's a problem is because before the early 2000s, PAL games ran at 50Hz, meaning they run slower than the American counterpart. And the first red flag is in the UK stream for the Direct. They've got a different icon. This is the American one, the Mario icon. The UK one, they've got a Yoshi icon. So these are different pieces of footage, and if you listen to them, it's pretty clear they're running at different speeds. And we'll go into this in just a moment. I just first want to give a bit more praise to this user for discovering this, because it is mighty disappointing, but we can avoid it, and I'll show you how to do that too in just a little bit. Okay, so here we are in my editor, and the reason we're here is because it's very easy to demonstrate where it may possibly desync. So these two, by this frame right here, are in perfect sync, and I've synced them by the appearance of Epona's hoof. So on frame 241, there's a hoof here, and a hoof here. Frame 240, there is no hoof. And it's worth mentioning this small window here is the American stream, whereas this larger one is the UK stream. So what I'm going to do, before we go into any of this, is simply play them, and see what you think of these results. So that probably didn't sound good. You probably heard two different audio feeds at the same time there. And at one point they were in sync, but they quickly fell out. And what I find quite interesting actually is the pitter-patters in the wavelengths here. So these pitter-patters, if I just mute this one, that is the gallop of Epona. And what we can do, we can use that sort of gallop to sync these again in a different way and see how quickly the audio differs from the other one. Alright, so this may be a bit hard to see, but what I've done is I've synced up the gallops. So the first gallop in the American version, first gallop in the UK version, second for US, second for UK, third for US, third for UK. All these three gallops are pretty much in sync, and we can just mute this track a second, I can show you what they are. That's what we're listening for. Mute this one again, put this one up. They are both gallops, we are not going to dispute that, they are all gallops. Now, I was already seeing a problem. So these are in sync, these are not, the second set of gallops. So by the time the US version does its second gallop on the third trot, the UK version is doing its first trot. So we are already nearly a whole gallop behind in the UK. But let me just show you this instead of talking about it. So let's have a little bit of a listen and see how much of a galloping parade this ends up being. So what you probably heard was just non-stop galloping. You probably heard dup 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 dup, where it should have been dup 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 dup, but it's not that. In fact, just listening to them, just listen to the tempo of these. So the UK one again, we're getting da 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 da. America though is getting something a bit more like this. Da 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 da. It may sound similar just doing it like that, but as you saw, putting them side by side, it's very different. And that really is the big difference of 50Hz. It may seem minimal at first, but it takes mere seconds to become much slower than the American version. And it's not just the audio, we can see this visually too. So let's go back to where Epona was synced up. So what was it, frame 241? There we go, the hoof appears. So right now, these two are visually in sync. But if I go forward, let's go over here. There's a texture coming up here on the American version, which is also on the UK version right now. But I bet that it's going to disappear in America before the UK. So if we go a bit further along, it's all but gone. So this is a green field now, whereas in the UK, they've still got their rocky texture that's appearing there. So yeah, there's no doubt, this is the 50Hz version they're showing in the UK. There's a real chance the vast majority of N64 ROMs will be the original European 50Hz versions. They're going to run slower, they're going to sound slower, and all in all, they're basically going to be inferior. Now there are still some pros. A lot of PAL versions have multi-language support, so if you're not an English speaker, you can finally understand what's going on. You won't need to learn a language to play a game. That's a great thing. And not every single ROM is going to be 50Hz. There's some games on this service that never came to Europe. Dr. Mario 64, for one, was America only. Didn't even come to Japan. So that's no doubt going to be a 60Hz ROM. Same for Sin and Punishment. That will very likely be 60Hz. Now, one thing I am considering is, are there going to be compatibility issues when playing online? Like, let's say you're playing Ocarina of Time in the UK app, and you want your American friend to join your lobby and watch you. Will they be able to? Or will there be compatibility issues with the UK and US apps? I don't know. It seems like kind of a problem. But it's a problem we can avoid, and I'll show you how. Okay, so this sucks. What are we going to do about it? Well, you might notice right here is the NES app and the Famicom app. How do I have both of those? Well, it's very easy to access other region Nintendo Switch Online apps. All you need is another account, but don't worry, this is a very throwaway account. So if I show you my lineup right now, my primary one is John, and this one, John _, I don't play games on, I don't pay a subscription on, that's just there to access other eShops. So with this profile, that's not my primary one, I can make it and say that I'm from Japan while making it, or I'm from America. Whatever region I want to access, I can make that account access that eShop. So John _, I set it up, and I said that he's Japanese. And when I load it, that gives me the Japanese eShop. So even though I've got the English Super Nintendo app downloaded, I can also download the Japanese one. Now this is something that's not really been a thing for mixing Europe and America, because thus far, the European and American apps have been the same. They've all been 60Hz ROMs, they're the same service. However, this is not the same service, and I have a big feeling Nintendo 64 likewise will not be the same service if there's different content in there. So let's download that, and on my menu, we will now have 2 Super Nintendo apps. So what I'd recommend, when N64 comes out, just ignore the UK eShop. We don't want that. Go straight to the American one, and get 60Hz ROMs. It's really that simple. So hopefully this was helpful, and enlightening too, and hopefully Nintendo changes this. I mean, it's definitely good to have benefits like multi-language, but it hinders the games themselves. An option would have been nice. And I suppose this is kind of an option? A very roundabout option, but still, there's no need to suffer 50Hz ROMs, we can do something about it. So hopefully you enjoyed this, let us know in the comments below, and of course go that subscribe button, but slower than usual because you yourself are in 50Hz. And we'll see you next time. Bye everyone. I downloaded it, cool. Man, their box arts are way better than ours. Like, Kirby Superstar. That's an iconic box. Beautiful.